What's up, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Who Are They? Real Talk. As always, I'm Matt. Unfortunately, had some rough circumstances today. Started a little bit late, a lot of things going on, but we do want to say we're wishing Nick Mulbach the best. Co-founder, really good friend, basically like my brother. Hoping he and his family are doing well right now. Just prayers to them. But the show's still got to go on, so we're here. And joining me today is the personality himself, Chris Anthony Lopez.
Oh, hello. What's going on, dude?
Not much,
I
buddy,
echo
not
your
much.
sentiments on Nick. Shout out to my boy. I love him a ton. Just sending all the positive energy to them because they definitely need it. Some rough stuff. Like you said, rough circumstances.
Yeah.
But shout out to my man.
And joining us today, also rounding us out, is the one and the only dog who barks well, Toby Barkwell.
What's going on, everybody? How we doing?
Doing
What's up, man?
Pretty good.
Let me take my earrings out.
Take the mask off. You're in your house.
No, my roommate's here now, so I got to social distance, right, Corey? Yeah, so we're having a good time. Let's talk movies. Hell yeah, brother.
Talk movies. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm really excited to talk a lot of this with you because I know we talk throughout the week through the big group chat and everything. I know there may be some varying opinions already on this panel. So let's just jump right into it right now and go with the one that I know that's really going to have a lot of varying opinions. Jurassic World Dominion. A film that I didn't want. I don't know about Toby and Chris, but after that last stinker, I could live without another Jurassic Park movie. But we're getting a lot of good news about it, so I'm going to let Toby, the big Jurassic Park head on the panel, start it off.
Okay, so you mentioned that you didn't want another one after Fallen Kingdom. I understand that sentiment to a point. Colin Trevorrow has said that the reason that he signed on to do Jurassic World was because he wanted to make eventually Jurassic World Dominion, which is the dinosaurs in the mainland in the United States running around, just causing all kinds of trouble. And I didn't like Fallen Kingdom much at all, actually. I did enjoy Jurassic World, but what I'm excited about is we're getting the returning cast back, and Alan Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Ian Malcolm. We're also getting another returning cast member who has not been in the franchise since the first Jurassic Park, and that is Dodson, right? He was, the guy at the very beginning of the film who came up with the Barbasol can. He was trying to get Wayne Knight to, steal the DNA or whatever. And it's really interesting that they're bringing that specific plot point back and bringing that cast member back. I know they are recasting because the original actor, I believe, is in jail actually, or is just like not a good dude.
The worst. Yeah,
like he's just a piece of crap person. I don't remember off the top of my head. Do we know who's playing him yet?
Nope.
Okay, but the fact that we're bringing him back I think is awesome. Just like they brought Dr. Wu back, I think he's going to have to play in that role a little bit with InGen and what InGen is up to. I'm just really excited about this movie. I like Colin Trevorrow as a director because I did enjoy Jurassic World. I'm just really hoping that they kind of steer away from, kind of the child clone that they teased in Fallen Kingdom, and that we can specifically get like a Last of Us type movie in the Jurassic franchise, having people trying to survive, these dinosaurs running around. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, I'll say this. I did like that short we got earlier this year, or was it earlier this year? This year,
I think it was last year, but
it was late last year, earlier this year. It feels like forever ago. But I did love that short, and I know Trevorrow directed that. But he also directed the Book of Henry. So,
he has a dud. Leave my man alone.
He also wrote Fallen Kingdom.
I mean,
and that's what scares me. That's what does scare me, because I do enjoy him as a director, but his writing with this franchise has been all over the place. Like, I liked what he did with Jurassic World, but Fallen Kingdom was just like a placeholder to get him to Dominion.
Yep. And let's be honest, the first Jurassic World is what we call a cookie cutter film. That is, hey, imagine the first Jurassic Park, but this time the park's open, and go write it. Just go write it.
Before we continue on Jurassic World, I don't want to hear too much Jurassic World slander because I actually like that movie a lot.
No, I do like it. I'm just saying you can't deny it's a cookie cutter film. It's just imagine the same movie, but the park's open this time. That's what it is.
I mean, you can people. I'll be the first person to say the same thing about, and I'm sorry, I'm already doing it now. But The Force Awakens is the same thing as A New Hope, just with different characters.
And the Phantom Menace is the same thing as A New Hope. But it's all part of the hero's journey. You start off at one point and you go again. That's why the Jurassic World doesn't bother me.
And I just don't like the cookie cutter label on it because it has a negative connotation to it. It makes it sound bad. When in reality, it's like, I mean, people like these things. Of course, we're gonna point out like it's the same movie, but I still really like Jurassic World. I've rewatched it multiple times since it's come out, and I really dig it. And yeah, the park is open. And I like that dynamic. And Toby and I, we've had a discussion about the Jurassic franchise multiple times in the last couple of years. But with Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either. There were some decisions that I didn't really like, but like Toby said, it's a placeholder going into Dominion. Yeah. And Dominion, I kind of don't want a Last of Us type of Jurassic World because I don't want like years into the future and we're all like cities are run down and it's a whole new regime of different. I'm not really rocking with that. I kind of just want to see an immediate impact.
I think that's what that short was, and he said that's kind of a taste of what you're in for with Jurassic World Dominion.
And if the short is anything to base it off of, I'm looking forward to more Jurassic World. I do like Colin Trevorrow behind the camera, not just writing the stuff, because like you guys have said, like his writing's hit or miss, and it depends on who you ask. Yeah, he did Book of Henry, which wasn't the greatest.
It was horribly written and horribly directed, and he did both.
But a lot of great directors have stickers too, so I'm not gonna really crap all over him because he made one bad movie. So I mean, I like the fact that we're getting the OG characters back in not prominent roles, but in decent roles. It's not like Ian Malcolm in Fallen Kingdom where he was on screen for 2 minutes. Like we're gonna get more of them, and they're going to be prominently featured as like maybe supporting characters, if that. I don't think they're going to be leads. Their names may be on the poster, but it's not going to be Chris Pratt level stardom. At least.
You don't know that it could be. They could be neck and neck with each other most.
And if they are, then screw me, and I'll eat crow. But I don't want that to be like, unless this is the last one, unless we're not getting any more Jurassic Park.
I think they've already teased 4 and 5.
And see, like and I mean, we'll get to unnecessary 4s and 5s later, with a different movie franchise that I think we really don't need. But Dominion should be the end. After Jurassic Park 3, we didn't know the future of this franchise. I was cool with that being the end, because arguably after the first one, we didn't need the sequel. But I mean, now here we are, 5 or 6 movies deep, and this should be the end. It's probably not going to be, but I mean, who am I? I'm not the one. I'm not
outside of Universal. This is like the only cash cow they have outside of Universal. This is like the only cash cow they have outside of Fast and the Furious.
Oh, and all those movies make billions of dollars, whether they're good or not. So it's going to make money. It's going to be great. But Dominion, I know we're all going to see it one way or another. But yeah. I just hope it's a nice conclusion. I know it's not going to be that, but I want that to a nice little bow on the franchise. Let's cool it for a bit. Let's cool it. I get it. Why you want to make more, but we don't need to.
And another returning character, not really character, but another thing returning from the franchise is Site B, Isla Sorna.
Oh, yes.
Which is really interesting because one of the big complaints of Fallen Kingdom, which I actually agree with, is they wanted to get the dinosaurs off Isla Nublar because there was a volcano that was about to erupt. We have to bring the dinosaurs to a different island. And so they came up with this random island in the story. And so we're like, what about Site B? Like, it's literally right there. Just drop them off at Site B and let them, run around there and live out the rest of their lives. Yeah. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. But now we understand why. It's because they do have a plan for Isla Sorna. And I'm really curious what they're going to do with it, because the dinosaurs are back on the mainland. Are they going to try to capture them again and move them to Site B? Or are they just going to try to kill them off? But we know that there are going to be more movies. And there has to be dinosaurs. So I'm really, really interested how Dominion is going to, what the story is. Like, what is their end game, per se, in Dominion? How are they going to wrap this story up?
Yeah. And as much as I crap on Fallen Kingdom, the thing that really bugs me the most, there's a heartbreaking, let me sidetrack. There's the significance of seeing the long-necked dinosaur The name escapes me right now.
Brachiosaurus.
Oh, yeah.
There's a heartbreaking moment, and it's really more heartbreaking if you know film and know that that's the first dinosaur you see in the original movie, and it's the last dinosaur you see on that island also. That's heartbreaking, but that's a sidetrack. But what really pissed me off is you have a bulletproof dinosaur, and it dies by falling on a skeleton.
I mean, yeah. What's the thing called? The Indoraptor?
The Indoraptor. Yeah. It's bulletproof, it's tactical, and it died falling on a skeleton. Yeah.
Like halfway through the movie. Like a little over halfway through. Like it wasn't even
it was like at the 3/4 part.
It was real anticlimactic, especially watching it in the theater like, oh, that's it? Oh, okay, great. And then the movie just falls apart from that point forward.
25 minutes of stuff that you just didn't need, like learning about the clone and the dinosaurs roaming. We get it.
What upset me the most is that they brought in Jay Bayona to direct that movie, and he directed the hell out of that movie. It is just beautiful to look at. Like, I feel so bad for him.
And he is a fantastic director, and he's also going to be apparently directing the entire first season of the Amazon Lord of the Ring franchise.
Which is awesome. I'm so
glad.
And this is only because of coronavirus, because originally he was only doing the first episode. Now, because of how things are going, they're like, it's easier to just have him direct the entire first season.
Dang. I guess I got to work more and make more money. That sucks. that blows. But no, but that's, I mean, I don't know how to anticipate Dominion besides the fact I'm excited to see the OG characters interact with the newer characters more often than we've seen before. So, I mean, I want to see something. Show me something first. Instead of Sam Neill showing me hats on Instagram. Let me see something, and then I'll properly assess Dominion, even though it's a kick-ass name for a movie like this.
Yes. All right.
And hopefully we don't see too. Oh, one more thing. Hopefully we don't see too much, because I don't know if you guys remember the Fallen Kingdom trailers gave away like 95% of the movie.
Yeah.
So let's for this marketing campaign, let's like cut it back like by half. Like, don't give away the best parts in the trailer, please.
Show dinosaurs eating people. That's it. That's all I need to show, and we're in. Like, for real. It's
we're
dinosaurs.
Eating animal
How hard is it to sell dinosaurs?
How awesome would it be to see a pack of raptors eating a beached whale?
I mean, wouldn't that be nuts? That's a crazy visual, too.
It's super morbid, but I actually understand like why that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Sorry, I know it was morbid, but like you're like
no, but that's
nature.
What you expect.
That's nature, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what you expect to see.
So hey, well, let's move on. We didn't get to talk about the AMC news of their deal with Universal. So yeah, that happened. But there's also more AMC news going on right now, and that's that the theater may be raising prices to cover the coronavirus expenses, to offset all the money they now have to spend on cleaning. So AMC, we're going to let Universal back by bending to their will, and then we're going to charge you more for it. How you guys feeling about this? Let's talk about both pieces.
AMC, first of all, submitting to the apparent titan that is Comcast it's upsetting, because people already don't want to go to the theater. Let's be real. Even before coronavirus, people weren't too jazzed to go to the theater unless it was a big like Avengers, Fast and Furious, Star Wars, anything. But besides that, no one's going to the theater to see movies. But now you're allowing Universal Films to not only be shown at your theaters, but a couple weeks later they're going straight to VOD, which makes it way more convenient for people. And now you're raising the prices of your tickets
and concessions
to appease to the cleaning. I'm sorry that y'all need to pay more money for us to be safe. Screw us. I guess we're the worst. It's our fault. But now you're giving people more of a reason to not go to the theater. People are already complaining that tickets were expensive, and they are. Ticket prices are expensive as is. Even concessions. Don't even get me started on concessions. But now you're giving 2 reasons in the last month to not want to go back to AMC theaters or theaters in general, because people will assume that it's all theaters and not just AMC.
And I think from what I understand, the agreement is that it'll be on AMC that they offer, because they have their app and all that. So,
yeah.
Because the other theaters haven't agreed to a deal like that for Universal, so I think that's just that they'll be available on the AMC service. That's
because AMC was giving people like
They were the ones saying we're no longer
the,
showing Universal films because they didn't do this.
Regal, Cinemark, every other big theater chain, or every other theater, really, they said, no, we're good. Yeah, Fast and Furious next year, please. Please and thank you. But AMC was giving everybody a hard time.
James Bond this year.
Yeah, that too. They were giving people a hard time to, like with the coronavirus stuff, with the face mask and the cleaning of the theaters. They were the last big theater to say something about it. And it's disheartening. As someone who's an A-list member, like, that's awful. That makes me not want to go back to your theater. Like, what's that supposed to mean? And then now, me as a fan, imagine someone who doesn't go to the theater often. They go and take the family. Now the prices are going to be raised for everything, and they may not even show a movie in X amount of time, or you can just watch that movie later at your house. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know what AMC is doing. It's really disheartening, and it bums me out as someone who loves AMC theaters.
Toby, how are you feeling about it?
Do you guys remember the episode of SpongeBob when they go into his brain and the little SpongeBobs are running around the office looking for his name and just like throwing office supplies around? That's how I see like the interior of like the AMC, the Regals, like them trying to figure out like, what are we going to do, guys? Like, we have not been open for soon to be 6 months. Like, we're going to have to play catch up big time next year, and they have to come up with some and scramble some ways to make their money back. And the only way to really do that, unfortunately, is to raise the ticket prices. I feel like movie fans like us will continue to support films. Yeah. We will pay the money because it's just what we love to do. It is our hobby. But not most people aren't like that. Most people, movies aren't hobbies. It's a thing to do on a Saturday. You get the kids a babysitter, or you do take the kids. Who knows? But with the ticket prices going up, they're going to be leaving the kids at home because they're not going to be able to afford to have the whole family go to the theater, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really, really terrible thing that's going on. I'm not going to sit here and point fingers and be like, that's the wrong move or that's the disrespectful move to movie fans. But, I mean, they got to do what they got to do. And hopefully maybe they can make some of this return back and then maybe start to slowly lower those prices back down to about a normal, $10, $11. But right now, man, I feel bad for them because they're scrambling. They don't know what to do.
I mean, I can't say I feel bad for them because I'm on the same page as Chris of, oh, sorry that you want our business, so now you're going to charge us extra just so you can clean the theaters, which you already do. Sure, you're going to be spraying them down and wiping seats down now, but it's not like all that cost that much extra.
See, I don't buy that that's the reason. I think it's just because they've gone 6 months without being open. They have to make that money back somehow. That's 6 months.
That's their excuse for it. Like,
yes,
they're saying it's for
100%.
I don't blame them. Like, and I'm with Toby. Like, I feel bad because I mean, theaters are already struggling as it is, and I mean, if anything good came out of coronavirus, at least in regards to theaters, it was drive-ins. Drive-in theaters have been
revived,
successful as long as I've seen.
They've been revived. It's packed. Every time I've tried to go to the one out near me, it's packed.
And I love that. It's fantastic. But the stuff with AMC and Regal and the Cinemarks of the world, the Alamo Draft House. What's going on, Taylor? Happy Sunday, boy!
Happy Sunday!
They're definitely going to have to play catch up, especially with the movie that we're going to talk about in a bit, and that going to streaming instead at an outrageous price. But with these big studios taking their movies back and saying, no, we're going to release it on Disney Plus, HBO Max, Netflix, whatever the hell. Like, that's also not doing theaters any justice as well. So I have no idea when theaters are going to really kick back up again. Because they said August, it hasn't happened yet. Tenet's supposed to come out next week.
August 28th. August 28th is when theaters are supposed to start. Well, the 21st is when theaters, Regal is reopening the 21st. The 28th is when we're supposed to start getting the movies. New Mutants isn't moving as of right now. Bill and Ted just moved up from September 4th to the 28th.
Yeah.
So, like, hey.
If the 28th is the day, then cool. Then really, really cool. And I want to see how that first weekend is for movie theaters. But until then, it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And depending on where you are in the country, it doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon. So if that proves anything, if you want to go back to the theater, wear your mask out in public, and maybe we can at least flatten this curve so we can all go back and enjoy these movies. And trust me, I want to go see Tenet as quick as I can on the biggest screen that I can. But without these, we ain't doing that.
you're in Podunk, Oklahoma. I don't know what big screen you'll be able to find outside of a 65-inch in your apartment.
Look, I am not too far from Oklahoma City. I'll happily make the drive and just do some double features. Happily. I'll spend the day at a theater. Done it before, and I'll do it again. That's what's up.
Oh, we'll have George tell you about his stories about seeing Star Wars in the theater back in the 70s.
Oh, and that was a different time. That had to have been the worst. But we're not. I don't want to talk about that. We're talking about AMC, which is they're already the worst. But no, I do second Toby's sentiment. Like I feel bad for them, and I like your theory too, Toby, that they're just putting that title on it. Yeah, it's for cleaning. No, y'all need help, especially AMC. They've had the hardest time this summer out of all the big theater chains. So they if anyone needs a pick me up, it's AMC theaters.
Right. Without a doubt. Well, let's move on to some big studio news. One of our favorite studios, Walt Disney Company. And the Walt Disney Company for Disney Plus is talking about reviving a beloved Marvel property television show, and that is X-Men, the animated series. An original confirmed that they have had talks with Disney about reviving the show for Disney Plus. Guys, I don't know about you, but I grew up watching that show. So when I saw this, I was hyped.
Oh, so maybe I'm not as hyped as you are. I love this. I love the fact that X-Men, the '90s cartoon series, because it has one of the best intros of all time, as Toby just proved to us. And I love the fact that people are talking about bringing it back because it was really good and it's really popular and it's great. No. Why do we need to bring everything back?
You do realize that was one of the shows that ended on
no, and that's fun. A lot of shows ended like a lot of my favorite shows of all time ended on like they didn't have a proper conclusion. If they were doing a wrap up to this, cool, but it's Disney. They're gonna milk the hell out of this. And you can't tell me that Disney doesn't have a rep of milking the hell out of these things.
They do.
So, I mean, if we're just getting a final season like they did the Clone Wars, great, fantastic.
And Clone Wars technically isn't getting the final season because they made a spin-out of it.
They're doing the bad bitch, so I can't wait.
Bad batch.
Oh yeah, the bad bitch. Yeah, bad batch. I'm sorry. But if they do a final season of X-Men, then great. I would love that. That's fantastic. But there's no way in hell they're just doing one. So I saw it earlier. I got excited for a second until I realized it was Disney and not Fox, even though Fox is not Disney. So that's my 2 cents. I'm excited nonetheless because the show kicks ass. Toby, what's the intro sound like?
How you feeling, Toby?
So I enjoyed the show a lot when I was a kid. I used to watch it a lot on like Saturday mornings and stuff, when I was at home. Yeah, dude. I don't need it again. I really don't I don't think kids would watch it. Honestly, I think kids are more worried about other things besides watching a rebooted X-Men show. I think adults would watch it, but for me personally, I'm more concerned with how they're going to incorporate the X-Men into the MCU. I want to see what that's going to look like so much more than I want to see a reboot of a show that hasn't aired in 20 years.
There's been a lot of rumors and talk about that, and it's not made people happy because people don't like doing math, and people don't like realizing that some changes need to happen to get this property to work right, especially within the MCU. Like what has been talked about in changing either Magneto or Professor X's race, or both. Because if you want to do it, they're both late, like at the youngest, like 12, 13, around the time of that Magneto's historic backstory. So you subtract 12 to 13 years from that, you're looking at like early 20s or late 20s, early 30s from the late 1920s, early 1930s. We are in 2020. That means to do the backstory that is in the comics, you would have to have Magneto and Charles both be on the verge of 100.
Yeah,
it's a really good point that I didn't think about. Yeah,
I didn't think about that either.
Now, what's been rumored for the past few months is that to give themselves a little bit of leeway and still pay respect to horrible things that have happened in the world's past in Magneto's backstory, there's been rumors that they'd move it up to the 60s and have both characters be played by black men, so their historic thing is the civil rights. And something like Magneto seeing his mother or father be beaten in a diner or lynched or something along those lines.
As someone who no, if you're gonna do Magneto properly, because it's great that you're trying to still redo the character so that you can have the same type of weight to a character like Magneto, but my God, no. People lose their minds if you take Magneto out of the Holocaust. Like it's not a good idea.
Might, but you have to do it. Like there's no other way.
You can do X-Men without doing Magneto and Charles Xavier.
You can't.
I think you can.
Could you? Yes, but the point is they're trying to build it into the MCU. And those two characters, let's face it, outside of Wolverine, those two characters are our main focus as to why people actually tune into that series.
Yeah.
And that was proven with these last 4 movies, even though Dark Phoenix was garbage. And Apocalypse is only okay. But the last 4 or 5 movies, it's been proven they're the key. They are the key.
I didn't even think about how old they would be. Oh man. Oh, that's a bummer. That's such a bummer.
If they're gonna do it that way, I think, Matt, what you said about them both growing up during the civil rights movement, I think that's the way to go, honestly, because like you said, and I'm so glad you brought this up because I never thought about it, that you're right.
Damn.
If they did it properly, they would be old as shit, right? Like that's just, it wouldn't fit into what they're trying to do, because the MCU takes place, like you said, in present day, 2020, 2021.
Technically, it takes place now in 2024.
Oh, right.
2024.
So yeah, there's no way that they could get away with that unless maybe being a mutant, you don't age as fast as most people. You could maybe spin that because like Logan doesn't age, or something along those lines. But if they're gonna do it in terms of story, I do like the civil rights angle, and casting 2 black men would be really cool to add more people of color to the MCU.
Ooh, it'd be great because you're giving 2 black men prominent roles within comic books. But my God. It's the same discussion, and I don't want to have this conversation be about race, but it's when you do characters that you take them out of their backstories, their ethnicity. Yeah, when you change them, like when Michael Clark Duncan was Wilson Fisk in Daredevil, like little things like that. Like it doesn't hurt the character at all. It's the same guy, same whatever. But with Magneto, a big part of that character is him going through the Holocaust, and
that's why the only logical next step would be the civil rights movement. If you're trying to make things fit, it sucks, but it is.
I'm seeing a backlash similar to when they made Sam Wilson Captain America in the comics a few years ago, and they had Jane Foster be Thor, because people lost their minds because it's a different interpretation of a character they grew up loving. But I see the point, and it's a great way to do it. It's a great substitution.
What you're missing is that's comic fans. You have to think about what the general audience is going to look at. What happened when Black Panther came out with the general audience. Think about that.
Well, all those characters were supposed to be what race they were. They didn't change anything crazy.
I know, but there's been talks of Giancarlo Esposito. There's been talks of Denzel. Like think about Giancarlo Esposito as Magneto.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool, but it's just I don't know. I'm thinking about. I mean, I would love it. Of course, I would love it if Magneto and Charles Xavier were black, and they changed the stories properly so they can be a part of this universe now. But I want to see. I don't want to see the backlash because it's going to happen.
I mean,
it's going to be gross.
I mean, I'll admit, I look at the backlash when Michael B. Jordan was cast as Human Torch. I look at the backlash when Finn, a character that was made up, no prior history, when Boyega's cast as Finn. People were mad that we had a black stormtrooper, for Christ's sake. So, like, I understand what you're saying.
It's a tough situation,
but it's just one of those things where you gotta figure out how to make it work. And what other major events in our history, and especially with what's going on now, why wouldn't that make sense? Because civil rights are once again at a forefront.
They can find a way. Maybe they can like House of X maybe already happened, and Charles and Magneto they're in a different. Since we already established different dimensions, they can be off.
We haven't yet, not officially.
Well, in Doctor Strange, they hit us over the head with all this stuff. So it could be a thing, and especially with I know Scarlet Witch is an Avenger as of right now, but if they do a House of X type of thing, maybe they can bring back Xavier and Magneto. They can try to tie it in. It's complicated, and I feel bad for whoever has to write it, but it'll happen eventually.
I'll take the backlash. It only makes sense. I'm sorry.
Do the Fantastic Four first. Plain and simple.
The more that I think about it, though, if they were to make the civil rights movement as the angle for their characters, that's still pretty far back in history.
Yeah, it's
that would put them at like 70-ish years old, which is still really old.
Yeah, it's like late 60s, early 70s, but that's easier to work with than
absolutely
late 90s.
Sure, it's still it's such a tough situation. But here, Fox, there's an easy solution. Do the Fantastic Four. Disney. Do the Fantastic Four. Do them first, and then worry about the X-Men later.
I think,
and you can establish a negative zone with the Fantastic Four. You can maybe tie it back into the X-Men because there's always going to be all these teams going to be synonymous with each other. Fantastic Four first.
I feel like they can't though. I really feel
they?
Because you're supposed to have Charles and Eric as these long-standing people who are mutants, hiding, trying to prep the world for what's coming as mutants are a real thing and a major population of the world. You can't just, hey, yeah, this just happened. Now we're supposed to trust these two wise men who just got powers like us.
Oh, no. I'm not saying give them their powers now. Like I'm saying they could have been around. I always like the theory that the mutants have always been around. They just haven't been, out. They haven't been outed yet. But let's do the Fantastic Four first. It's not as problematic as something like this would be. And the Fantastic Four, they need a proper adaptation. Because we've gotten some good stuff out of the 3 movies that we've gotten, or 4 technically. But
It's only been 3.
What happened?
There's only been 3 that have been released public.
But there's the 4th one in the 90s that no one saw. But
you can buy bootlegs of at any Comic-Con, basically.
Which is, it's so bad. I don't know if y'all seen it. It's atrocious. But let's do the Fantastic Four. Let's do that first. If we're getting handsy with the Fox properties that we acquired from over there. But God, the X-Men. I didn't even think about the age. That made it so much harder. So much harder. But in conclusion, do 1 season of the animated series, and then we could talk about the live action.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm not even mad about the tangent we ended up going on because it's something that should have.
No, you brought that to our attention. Some people didn't know, and we were clueless about how old they would be. I forgot. I thought the MCU was timeless, and I'm like, nope. They definitely gave us a year in Endgame.
What would be awesome, since they are doing X-Men in the MCU, incorporate that guitar riff into the score like they did with Spider-Man.
Yes.
That'd be raw. That'd be so cool.
My
God, that'd be awesome.
Can you imagine the Marvel Studios logo popping on screen and you just hear
that would be hard. That'd be so hard. I would love that.
All right. Well, let's move on, guys. We got one more piece of Marvel news, and that is Captain Marvel 2 now has their director, Nia DaCosta, if I have that correct, Chris?
I think so, yeah.
Nia DaCosta, who just directed Candyman that's coming out later this year, is going to be directing Captain Marvel 2. How you feeling about this, boys?
Great.
It's awesome.
Sweet. The first Black woman to direct a Marvel film? Yes, please. I'll happily take it. Obviously, we haven't seen Candyman yet. There's been a lot of hype behind it. I believe Jordan Peele is producing it. So, thank you. I can't wait to see... Oh, am I going to see Candyman? I probably will for the sake of this freaking channel.
Yeah, you will, buddy.
I'm looking forward to it for nothing but good things about Candyman so far. And man, that's awesome. This is historic. We've had Black directors before, obviously in the MCU and other comic book projects, but a Black woman doing a Marvel film, like they know what they're doing. And this is a bigger project than a Candyman film.
Yeah.
So
I will say I'm
looking
glad
forward to
they
it.
stuck with the women and didn't just go like, oh yeah, here we're just gonna throw it to this guy over here. I'm glad for at least for this series of Marvel. No, we're sticking with women for it. This is how we're going. Let's move.
As it should. So I'm cool with the Niagara Coastal directing. So yeah, let's rock it.
Toby, you got anything to say?
No, I think it's cool. I really enjoyed the first Captain Marvel. A lot more the second time than the first time, honestly.
Yeah.
It's one that I could definitely go back to. And to have another woman director, let alone a woman of color director, is awesome for the MCU, and I'm really looking forward to what she brings.
Especially if they say like bring it back to this main timeline and not in the 90s or early 2000s. And now there's a chance we see the younger Rambeau as an adult and see her become another Marvel going forward.
Yeah.
So,
And we're gonna see her in the WandaVision series as well.
Yep.
In some capacity. She sounds like
She's been
prominent
cast.
role. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we know who's gonna play her. I forget her name, but
I just remember she was in Survivors Remorse, that show on Showtime produced by LeBron James or Stars.
But no, they're gonna definitely place it now or post Endgame whenever they're gonna do it. And I'm looking forward to more Captain Marvel. I think she kicks ass, and I love, as unpopular as it may sound, I love Brie Larson as the character. I'm a fan of Brie Larson.
I love Brie Larson in general.
I was gonna say I love Brie Larson just as a person.
I love Brie Larson.
And I love how people say, "Oh, she's fake." No. She's been speaking out about this stuff since she was a teenager. So yeah, I gotta give her props. She's worked like the first movie I ever saw her in was Hoop. I don't even know if y'all remember that movie.
What'd you say?
The first movie I saw Brie Larson in was Hoot. She was Beatrice.
I did not know that. I loved that movie growing up, but yeah.
I still don't know what you guys are talking about.
Hoot, the Owls, Hoot. It was based off a book. It was on Disney Channel all the time.
Yeah, it was this really good book. I read it in book club back in elementary school. But she was the female.
You did a lot of things when you were in grade school, Matt. You were full of energy, especially probably when reading books too. I bet you were really bringing the characters right off the page. But
Chris.
No, I love Brie Larson as his character, and I hope that she not that she had a hand in picking Nia DaCosta, but she obviously had to have met with Brie before she got the role or before she got the spot. So I'm looking forward to more Captain Marvel, and she will be a prominent figure going forward in the MCU. At least I hope she is. So let's make this more diverse. Let's just do more cool stuff. Why do we keep having the same guys direct the same movies?
Yeah. Well, while we're on the topic of Disney, let's close it out with this big Disney story that we've been avoiding up until now. Mulan. Mulan is now getting released on Disney Plus. But guess what? You got to pay a little bit extra for it. An extra $30, but it's not a 2-day rental like it would be if you rent a Universal movie. It's $30, and you get to keep it on your Disney Plus.
Oh my God! Okay,
I'm gonna let Toby go first, then we're gonna go with Chris.
Oh man.
Okay, so this broke the internet when it came out, right? I have mixed feelings about this. Okay, it makes sense that it's on Disney Plus, obviously, right? But
yes,
the extra $30 thing is what I can't really get behind. My personal opinion is that what they should have done is release it on all streaming platforms on VOD and give you a discount if you were to stream it on Disney Plus. So maybe $15 or $14 or something like that. And then if you were going to buy it on Amazon, you'd have to spend the entire $30. I don't like it because it's Disney being greedy as always, but this was an expensive movie to make. I was looking up the budget whenever you gave it to me, so I wasn't able to finish the Google search, but I'm pretty sure it was within $200 million, something around that. So they got to make that money back somehow. I mean, I know they're not going to get it all on, just people subscribe to Disney Plus because that money goes towards their original content and other things. So I get it, but I wish that they would have gave a discount to their loyal Disney subscribers and not making everyone pay the $30. But it is what it is. People are going to gripe, but people will buy it too. So there you go.
All right, Chris, go ahead because I know you got a lot to say.
What the hell, Disney? I maybe I'm just ignorant because I don't know Disney's release schedule for 2021. But why? You're not gonna make the money you think you're going to with this. There's no. You said $200 million. This is Disney's highest budget for a film in house, a live action film in house, or probably any movie that's not Star Wars or Marvel or something. This is the most they've dedicated to a movie like this, and you're releasing it on your own streaming platform, which like Toby said, sounds great. That's a great idea, but you're making us, the people that buy your service already, pay an extra $30 to watch this thing. And yeah, we get to keep it, but it's for the rest of our subscription. I could cut off Disney Plus that same month, and I only have the month to see it. That's dumb. Because I get it. Business wise, it gets people to keep the service for longer, so they can watch the movie longer, so they can say that they own it. But this is just an extended rental. This is just an extended rental. That's an extra $30. I don't know how many people are going to buy this. Of course, people will buy it, like what Toby said. But no, it's not. You're not making your money back.
Are you at the price, or know that they're releasing it on streaming at all?
Because
I understand why they're putting it on streaming. Like, I'm in the boat. Just put everything on streaming the rest of 2020. Like, take the L, move on, start fresh next year.
I know, and I mentioned it with the AMC thing. This was a huge blow to movie theaters too. I guarantee movie theaters were banking on Tenet and Mulan as being their two big ones to drive people back into the theater. And now Disney's like, we're going to take Mulan, which is probably the most, especially when it comes to all demos, this is the most appealing of the two movies. Because Tenet's going to make a butt ton of money whenever it comes out. But no kids are like, I want to go see Tenet. Of course not. They're going to see the established IP Mulan that Disney made. And that it looks incredible. Everything that we've seen from this movie looks fantastic, at least in my POV. But the fact that you're dropping it for $30 on your service, I get it why you're streaming it. I don't like that you're streaming it, but fine, I understand. But $30 extra, I would have been cool with 15, like what you said. But no, not for $30. I know I'm gonna end up paying for it. That's the crazy part, because I'm a shill. So I'm just a sheep to Disney at this point, but it's upsetting. It just really is upsetting to me as a fan.
Well, here, Chris, you asked about their 2021 release schedule. Right now, they have everything. Everybody's talking about Jamie via 20th Century Studios. That is January 22nd. February 12th, we have The Eternals. March 12th, we have Raya and the Last Dragon. April 9th, they have Bob Burgers via 20th Century Studios.
That movie's coming out, ain't it?
April 23rd, Ron's Gone Wrong. May 7th, Shang-Chi. May 28th, Cruella. Jungle Cruise.
Whoa, they shot that already?
Yeah, that's been shot, homie. They dropped a picture of that a while ago at the 2019 Disney Expo.
Well, I saw the photo. I just think they got done filming. Oh, screw me. I'm done.
Well, let's see. That photo was shot in 2019, so...
Well, I don't know. I'm not on set.
20, and then there's nothing in June, it looks like, but June's packed with a lot of other studios, so I'm not surprised.
Oh, man.
July 30th is their next film after that, and that's Jungle Cruise. Then there's the Beatles Get Back movie. And then later that year...
Is that the sequel to Yesterday?
No. It's a documentary from from Peter.
Yesterday.
And then...
Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
I like Yesterday.
It was okay. It was okay. I love it.
I was disappointed. But Mulan, they should have... they had no choice. They really had no choice, didn't they? They couldn't wait till November.
You gotta remember, there's still the possibility Black Widow gets pushed back.
If Black Widow... I think you might have said it in our little...
You said he'll pay $50 for Black Widow, no cap.
I agree. I would pay $50 to see it too. That's how much of a show we are.
That's a double standard, though. You can argue that that's a double standard because
totally is. It totally is 100%. Like, so, if they could announce right now, they could give us the scoop. Like, yo, Black Widow's gonna be on Disney Plus in November for $50, and I'd be like, yo, I love Marvel. I'm paying for it. Take my credit card because I'm a shill. But at the same time, I'm not gonna deny that it's a bad idea.
$30 for Mulan. Granted, you're the one who went in the group chat. They want me to pay $30 for no Mushu.
Yeah, they want to pay $30 for no Mushu, no songs. What are you talking about? But I know I'm still gonna do it. They do the same thing with Black Widow, which I do not think they will. I think that it's disheartening because it's not gonna make as much money as it will in the first place. This is a $1 billion movie already. When they put the first trailer out, $1 billion set in stone, and then coronavirus happened, and now it's nothing. So I'd be surprised if it doubled its budget, because who the hell's going to pay for this? I want to know from the general public who's going to pay $30 for Mulan. How many people? Because if I'm buying Mulan, I'm inviting all my friends over so we can watch it
and charge them.
Yes, and charge them $5 at the door.
Realistically, only have to invite 6 friends over. 6 friends over at $5 a pop.
Yeah, and
it's like a boxing match. It's a UFC fight. Just having people, pay and share, and then it's fair.
Yeah, $5 you can watch on the couch. $3 you can watch on the patio. It's not
as long as bring a mask.
Bring a mask. Wear your mask, please.
You got to factor in families. Though, think about it. You have a younger brother. You have 2 parents at home.
Mm-hmm.
Paying that $30 is the equivalent of going to the actual theater for them. But
you gotta. All my parents, I can tell you right now. Hey, Mom, are you gonna watch Mulan when it comes out on Disney Plus? She's gonna be like, "What? Like, there's another Mulan movie?" That's if she knows what it is. So not everyone's like us or like your parents, Matt. So we're like, oh yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone. I'm just saying that there are those families out there, especially like Kate Mulligan was talking about on SCM the other day. She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pay. Is that the best use of the money that we barely have right now? No, but am I gonna pay it?
That's a whole different thing
because she has 2 younger kids, and it's something new she can put in front of them."
I understand the POV, but like you said, or what Kate said on SCM, like, should we be spending $30 on a movie that we'll probably watch one or 2 times? No. But yeah, it makes more sense to pay the $30 for 4, 5, 6 people, how many people you have in your family. Like, I totally understand that POV. I just don't like that Disney took it away from theaters, that they're making the subscribers pay $30.
No, it's still getting released in theaters. It's not exclusively on Disney Plus.
But is it a wide release?
It's like Tenet. They're going to be doing select cities. Apparently, like the cities that are doing better.
That's all right. So South Dakota, North Dakota, Idaho, Montana, they're all going to get it. Jeez, if we get Mulan, like I'll cry. Because I know, geez, Indiana ain't going to get it. Toby's my witness. Indiana ain't going to get it. No. Illinois is not going to get it. So like ain't gonna get it. Yeah, the whole Eastern Seaboard is not going to get it. Like, the whole eastern side of the country is not going to get this movie.
The whole western side of the country.
California. Big markets aren't going to get these movies, and that's also a killer. That's going to kill you box office wise. So where you have your like L.A., Chicago, New York, all 3 of those are out of the picture. So now you have to rely on whatever the hell's left.
Your theaters are opening up at the end of the month,
and we'll see how that goes. So it's just worrisome. I'm really worried about. I'm worried about theaters more so than anything else. But the people buying this movie too, and the fact that they're screwing over subscribers. I like Toby's idea. Just give us a movie at a discounted price. Simple as that. $15. I'll pay $15. $20. Okay, it's fine. $30. Come on.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, Disney Plus right now is already playing with house money. They did not expect to be at 60 million subscribers or 60-point-something million subscribers they're at until year 4. They're at that about half a year after the fact that they opened, or a little over half a year since the app launched. That's crazy.
Stupid. It's nuts, honestly.
So they're already in their eyes, Disney Plus is ahead of the game.
And if this movie makes a ton of money on Disney Plus, I will come on the show and eat dirt. Like I don't expect this to be a super financial success. We've seen one movie go on VOD and actually like be super successful, and that was Trolls, the first movie to do it, when everyone was in their house bored in their house.
That was more of a family movie though, so that was understandable.
But so is Mulan, so is Scoob, and
Scoob. Mulan's PG-13 if I remember correctly.
if Mulan's out here killing people, I definitely want to see this movie. Like that's what I want to see.
This was taken with the same approach as a typical film released in the Chinese film industry.
Then I'm in. Game. $60, I'll pay for it. No, but seriously, no. It's it's PG-13, but it's still a family flick. It's Disney.
Oh, yeah.
It's a recognizable IP. People love the original, and they're gonna go out and see this movie in droves. If in a regular setting, it would have made a ton of money opening weekend. But the world's on fire. Wear your mask, people, so you can go see Mulan and Tenet and other movies like that.
All right. Well, moving on, we're gonna talk about some pizza-eating turtles. That's right. Seth Rogen gave some details on his approach going towards his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, and honestly, it got me really hyped. I am super excited for this film, knowing what he's going into it thinking. He straight up said, he's like, it's always been weird to me how these films are supposed to be about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not Ninja Turtles, not Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So he said he's coming at this film from the angle of a coming-of-age type film and focusing a lot on the teenage aspect of it, these teenagers thrust into the situation. So, I'm hyped. How about you guys?
Toby, I'm curious into your thoughts, because, I mean, anyone that knows me knows I love these pizza-eating turtles that have a rat for a dad. But I'm curious into your POV.
I'm not obsessed with Ninja Turtles like a lot of people are. I grew up watching the 90s TV show on Saturday nights along with, the X-Men animated show. But I did not find any enjoyment whatsoever in any of the Michael Bay ones. Just not a fan of the aesthetic of it. Just felt like Transformers, except with the Ninja Turtles. Like it's the same thing.
Even like the 2007 animated one, the fully animated one.
I was about to say that's my favorite adaptation of the Ninja Turtles is that movie. Like I like that movie a lot.
It is good. It's good. Don't kick them out. No. I'm with you, Toby. I'm with you.
Because I didn't grow up with the 90s live action movies. I did not grow up with those. So those don't resonate with me like a lot of people who love those movies like you, Chris. So my first real exposure to the Ninja Turtles was TMNT animated movie. But anyway, going to this new adaptation, I think it's brilliant. I love Seth Rogen. Everything he does is gold. I can't wait to watch that Pickle movie on HBO Max.
Don't.
But I like Seth Rogen, though, so I have to give it a chance.
Toby likes pickles. He's going to watch the movie anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But this new version of taking the teenage angle, because that's part of their story, is they are teenagers. So let's see a coming-of-age story with these characters and see, how they are as they're, slowly turning into young adults. So I'm really excited for it. I love Seth Rogen. I do enjoy the Ninja Turtles. I'm really excited to see what happens.
The 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That is a great film.
I could pop that movie on at any point in the day, and it will start off as background noise until I start watching it. I pop a squat, and I'm like all giddy because it takes me back to when I watched it as a kid. The movie rocks.
Name the Academy Award winner that is in that film.
Sam Rockwell. So we were you lost maybe lost the train of thought. The second two, like Turtles in Time and Secret of the Ooze, aren't the greatest.
Secret of the Ooze is better than Turtles in Time. Let's be honest.
1,000%. But then the budget was slashed. It wasn't their fault. But the first movie, I think it's the best media we've gotten with the Ninja Turtles since the OG animated show. At least if you're not counting the comic that it's based on. But I think, but the movie's fantastic. I do love the 07 one, TMNT. Plus, Chris Evans is Casey Jones. Like that movie rules. But the Michael Bay ones didn't do justice to the characters at all. There was one moment in the first one that made it seem like they had an idea of what these characters could be, and that was the elevator scene where they're making the music off their weapons. It rules, and it's the only Ninja Turtles part of that whole movie. And the second, Out of the Shadows, I think was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was more fun than the first one. I agree.
1,000%.
That first one, how they massacred the background for the turtles in this one, just in the first one. And
they ruined Shredder. They made Shredder a white dude, and it wasn't cool anymore. But this new one, I love. Like it should be, like those Michael Bay ones were for kids. They were not for children at all. And the Seth Rogen one, I'm not saying it needs to be super adult or super for kids,
but they're like you guys said, they're teenagers. They're really inexperienced. Like Splinter should not be in a life or death situation in this movie. Just let Splinter be the mentor and the dad that we grew up watching, like in the TMNT or in the OG animated series or in the '90s movies. Leave it at that. I love the fact that we're leaning towards that. Let's make this movie way more fun, and it's animated, correct?
Yes, fully animated.
Thank God. The turtles should stay in animation. Leave them there. Now let's
Wait,
off the cast.
no. I think it might not be animated. There was a Turtles movie in the works before this one that was fully animated. I don't think we know what this one is yet.
Well, I hope to God it's animated because the turtles should stay there.
I'm hoping to God it's 1990s practical effects.
If you bring the suits back, I'm totally in.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I want to see the actor's face in the mouth of the turtles, like how we did in the '90s one. But if I want it to stay animated, it should stay animated. And I want to see who they bring on to voice the turtles and to be April O'Neil. Because Megan Fox ain't it. I know you love her, Michael Bay, but she ain't. She was not it.
She ain't it.
But no, it's really cool. I'm really excited to see this, and I hope you see more good news out of this project. Hoping for it.
All right,
this movie could rule.
Well, let's move on to these sequels Chris wanted to talk a lot about.
Oh God, yeah.
So, right now, it was announced that on top of John Wick 4. Right after John Wick 4, that'll start filming in February of next year, they're going to be filming John Wick 5. Yeah, that's right. Baba Yaga is going to be getting a 5th film. They're filming back-to-back, and how are you feeling? And Chris, I know you said you don't feel like we needed a 4th film. I disagree, especially with how that 3rd film ended up.
I mean, yes, with the ending of the 3rd film, yes, I would like to see a 4th movie. But I think you could have done the 3rd movie and properly wrapped the story up. And I thought that's where they were going, but obviously it's not what we got. And cool, fine. I'm cool with the 4th one. Toy Story had 4 movies, and I like the 4th one a lot. But another one? Do we need 5 John Wick movies?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not sure we need 5. 4, yes. 4 we for sure need.
Wrap the story at 4. Stop making these unnecessary flicks. Where else can we go with this character that we haven't seen already? I thought the 3rd one set up the story like he's on the hunt, or he's being hunted. Everyone's going after him, and it rules. And the movie kicks ass. It kicks a lot of ass. It's the best one of the ones that we've gotten so far, in my opinion. And the 4th one, it seemed inevitable with the end of the 3rd film. Spoiler alert, sorry, but a 5th one too. I know Lionsgate. These movies make money, and you like Keanu Reeves.
Lionsgate isn't a big production. Like, they're not a big studio, so these movies making the money they do is huge for them.
I can't. 5th one. I mean, I'm gonna see it because I'm dumb, but come on, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Toby, how you feeling?
To quote Luke Skywalker, that's funny. Everything you said was a lie.
Hey!
So the second John Wick is the best John Wick out of all of them, by far, in my opinion.
By far?
By far, yes.
Wow.
Because why? Here's why. It's another simple action story. It expands on the universe. You get more into the Continental, more into the world building, and I think it's just a much cleaner story. John Wick 3, the end fight scene goes on for way too long. It's awesome. It's fun, but it goes on. It's like the Revenge of the Sith battle. Like, there's a point where that should have ended, but then it kept going and kept going and kept going. So that just knocks points off. With that being said, I love the franchise like so much. Like, oh my God, it's awesome. I can see 12 of these movies. I don't care. I love this character so much. I love the world so much. The Continental Hotel and that whole, assassin world is so interesting to me.
Hi, Stevie.
How you
Hi,
doing,
Stevie. What's going on, buddy? I love that world. I can't wait to see what they do with the Continental and the TV show that they're making.
Is that Showtime or Stars?
I think it's one of the two. It's supposed to be on one of the two. I know that. Although at this point now, who knows? It might end up on a streaming service with how things are going.
Yeah.
Shit.
I love this world. I love this franchise. I don't just love John Wick. I love everything about what they're doing with the story. So even if they continue on with the franchise and not including John Wick, that's fine. Like, just bring us another assassin, or maybe do some interlude stories, or turn it into an anthology. Just continue in this world, because I think it's really cool and has a lot of potential, and it's original. No more reboots, no more, copying things that have happened before. Like, let's continue on in this franchise and expand it, and see what happens.
I'm down with keeping this franchise until Keanu's ready to put it down himself. That's where I'm at. As long as they keep producing quality content and Keanu's still down to make them, and Keanu said he's down to make them until he feels like his body can't handle it. So,
like I said, I'm going to see these movies regardless. Do I think we need them? No. Am I going to see them? Hell yes, I'm going to see. These movies rule. I echo all of Toby's sentiments in regards to the franchise. It's an original character, and they set up so much just in the first film to where it, of course, now we got to have a TV show in development. We got to have all these movies, and it's so well done. And Chapter 2, it's that one in Parabellum, dude. Like those movies kick so much ass.
Chapter 2 is actually my least favorite one.
What? Oh, Jesus. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But no, I mean, I'm gonna see them. I just don't think. I mean, geez, I didn't want Toy Story 4, and I ended up loving it. So I'll leave it at that. So that's what I'm on.
All right, well, let's move on to something that I know Chris and I consider needs a sequel, and a necessary sequel at that. And that's the Star Trek franchise. They announced that. Hold on. All right, we'll see what happens.
Good luck, Allie. I want you to work on the John Wick movie too.
Well, no. The Star Trek franchise has 3 possible films in development. Not 1, not 2, but 3. One being the Quentin Tarantino film that he has written but will not direct. One being the Noah Hawley film that is put on the back burner because of the subject matter that it is.
For good reason.
Yes. And one being a sequel to Beyond, which I feel like is the one we need. And it seems like Paramount may be willing to shell out that cash that they weren't willing to shell out before for Hemsworth and Pine. So, Toby, Chris, we'll start with Toby. Toby, how you feeling about it?
It's crazy how much I don't care about Star Trek, like at all. Like not even a little bit. Like I don't care. The one that intrigues me the most is the Tarantino one because it's Quentin Tarantino. If that movie even sees the light of day is to be determined.
Well, we actually have some news on what that one is about. It is based off an original trilogy or original series episode that takes place in the 1930s, and it's a gangster film. It's a mission one where like they're on this planet that is in the 1930s, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know that episode.
Gangster Star Trek. Toby, you don't like that?
Again, it has Tarantino's name on it. That's the only reason why I would care about that. But we probably won't even see it. So other than that, I don't care. Moving on, Chris, your turn. I have nothing else left to say. I don't care.
For those wondering, the Noah Hawley movie is about a virus killing off populations of planets. That was the movie. It's been in the works for years. Putting it on the back burner for a reason. Because
I wonder what that reason is.
I wonder what that is. But the one that intrigues me the most, honestly, is the sequel to Beyond that I've been jonesing for since I saw Beyond. Yeah, the Quentin Tarantino one. It's Tarantino writing the thing. He's not going to direct it, like we've already said. But I love Star Trek Beyond. It was my favorite of the J.J. Abrams. Is it the Kelvin timeline?
Yep, Kelvin timeline.
Yeah, I loved Beyond so much, and for the people that like to crap on In the Darkness, I still dug that one. It wasn't the first one, but I think it still rules. So I want to see more of these characters. I know the problem with a fourth movie is that
they didn't want to
they want to pay Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth to come back and be a part of, and that was the one reason or the two reasons that they didn't do it. So if now Paramount changes their mind and they want to, cool, let's see it. And if I sound like I'm really contradicting myself on fourth movies, I'm sorry. But I love Beyond. Well, we should see more of these. It's like Star Wars. Like I want to see more of these characters.
It's not like Star Wars at all, but all right.
No, I'm not saying the films are similar. I'm saying it's the same idea. Like I want to see more of the. Like if you'd have told me that we're gonna get 7 movies based off the same family, like okay, cool. But I want to see more of Star Trek, and I want to see more, especially what they set up in Beyond, the best one that they put out in those 10 years or 7 years, however so long it was.
I still have the first one ahead of Beyond, but Beyond's not that far behind. Beyond feels my dad and My dad and I have both said this to you, Chris. Beyond feels the most like an original Star Trek movie or original Star Trek series episode. That is the most true to what the spirit of Star Trek is. Toby, I wish you'd give these films a shot because these three films.
Toby, I think you like them.
I've watched them. I just don't care.
All of them?
I've watched whatever the Kelvin timeline means, whatever the Chris Pine ones are. I've watched all of those, and they're cool.
Oh, wow.
They're fine. Like
you know what, Toby, you're gonna have to be on the drunk watch along we do of the original Star Trek motion picture because of this statement.
Yeah, dude, I didn't know you'd seen them. I thought you'd never seen them.
No, I've watched them. It's just that I don't know what to say. They're fine. They're okay.
Oh, damn.
I'm a little hurt. But no, as someone who was a Star Trek fan and a Star Wars fan, and I prefer Star Wars, Star Trek I got into during that long hiatus we had with no Star Wars whatsoever from 2005 to 2000, and I want to say 2013.
99.
No, from 05 to 13 is when I explored Star Trek to itch that sci-fi need of film. But I really prefer the Kelvin timeline because of how much action they have. I'm not gonna lie, but the best film isn't even one of the Kelvin films. It's First Contact, one of the Next Generation films. But Chris, you know how much I love those films because I pitched what I felt the fourth film. Now, granted, if the fourth film ends up being what my pitch to Johnny Woo was, I will be suing Paramount.
We have it in writing.
We have physical evidence that I pitched a fourth film. And if it has the notes of what I said, I might have to talk to someone.
And go watch the episode if you haven't seen it. I think who is there? Is Taylor, Nick, myself, and you, Matt. We all pitched movies.
Johnny Woo. So
great guy. I love Johnny Woo. He's fantastic. And I pitched my Static Shock movie. And I'm still I'm clamoring for it. But no, I think that if we're gonna get any of these first, I honestly think it will be the Star Trek 4, the Star Trek Beyond sequel. But I wouldn't mind if we got the Tarantino one too. I just think that it would.
That one would hurt me a little bit.
It's a harder sell, at least I think to the general public.
As a Star Trek fan, it's a harder sell because I feel like if it's based on this original series episode, couldn't I just go back and watch the episode with the original cast that I know?
That too.
It's like, so, but the sequel to Beyond can go places we don't know. And realistically, if we're bringing time travel back into it, you can shut up a lot of the Star Trek fans who have been hating on the franchise lately and get us back to the prime timeline.
I mean, isn't that what they were trying to do? That's why they're bringing freaking Chris Hemsworth back. Or I thought they're bringing him to the future.
They're bringing him into the present time.
In the present. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
gotcha.
His future, but present time. So it's one of those things like it's either he sacrifices himself or you figure out a way to reset this so we're in the prime timeline. So now all the freaking Star Trek fans can shut up. But another thing that Star Trek fans don't want, especially of the newer series, is some of them don't want another film because they feel like it would feel empty without Anton Yelchin in it.
That's another kicker, right? Because we lost him tragically. What was it?
Just a few months before the film.
Yeah, it was 16. So, it would be weird. Would you recast Chekhov, or would you have him, or would you just not include the character?
Eventually, he does end up becoming. I can't remember if he becomes a captain or a high-ranking commander. So you could say he's on a different ship at that point.
Yeah, you would just have to exclude the character. I don't know Star Trek as much as you do, as much as any big Trekkie, but maybe that can make sense. Why Chekhov's not on the ship, but either way, I do hope we get another Star Trek film soon. It could be the Tarantino one or the Star Trek Beyond sequel, and I'm going to go see it. I
don't want anything to do with the Noah Hawley film. Honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of it when it was announced. I'm just like, oh, you're telling me.
What did he do? What was Noah Hawley's big thing that he did?
Legion.
Okay, because I remember him. There were talks with Fox is still a thing for him to do a Doctor Doom movie years ago, and I mean that movie's probably dead too.
or they might have that script somewhere
and
in
use
a
it
box
for the MCU.
at the Disney in any Disney warehouse. But I hope they, again, it goes back to my point earlier. Do the Fantastic Four, damn it! I want to see Doctor Doom. If they made Sokovia, you can make Latveria. Simple as that. Or what was left of Sokovia, make a Latveria. See, I'm out here trying to sell a Fantastic Four movie. Is like
right.
what's up?
Let's move on back in the realm of superheroes, and let's talk a story that came out earlier today on behalf of Robert Pattinson when he revealed that so basically me doing my audition for the Batman, I had to try to come up with a lie to Christopher Nolan, my director at Tenet, because Tenet was filming at the time of his audition, so he had to try to come up with and everything. He's like, I told him there was a family emergency, and as soon as I said there's a family emergency, he was like, "You're auditioning for the Batman, aren't you?"
Isn't Christopher Nolan like he's the most obscure person in Hollywood? I feel like we know nothing about him as a person.
Well, here's my thing. Most of his films have been through Warner Brothers, so I'm like, why would you have to lie to Christopher Nolan while you're working on a Warner Brothers movie and auditioning for a Warner Brothers movie?
Should I be scared of Christopher Nolan? Like, should I be worried? Like, if I would ever cross him, I think I just end up dead the next day.
Like, I don't get it. Why, like you said, why do you have to lie to Christopher Nolan? Like, I guarantee because I feel like everything at Warner Brothers goes to Christopher Nolan. That's how much pull he has over there. And he's like, hey man, we're making a Batman movie and we're thinking about Robert Pattinson. And he's like, like my guy for this new flick I'm doing. All right, bet. And then that's why he already knew about it. That's weird. I like that. I like that quick.
Apparently, it was because of the fact that Robert was told he had to keep it hush hush under wraps, and that's why he had to come up. He felt like he needed to come up with a lie. So it's like, hey, and
it sounded like Robert Pattinson was like dating Christopher Nolan's ex-girlfriend or something like that. Because like Christopher Nolan like had a relationship with Batman for a little while, and it ended on good terms. But now, like, Christopher Nolan and Robert Pattinson are homies, and meanwhile, Robert Pattinson's getting in bed with his ex. And so I understand him not, wanting to jump and be like, hey, buddy, like, remember that thing you used to be a part of? I'm doing that now, right? So I get it.
Well, I understand him not wanting to jeopardize it. If you got to keep it under wraps, I got to keep it under wraps from this director who, realistically, let's be honest, probably knows about it.
Christopher Nolan knows all. He knows if his relationship with Warner Brothers, like he has them by the cojones, like what I mean. Like what he's doing at Warner, like he tells them, like, geez, he's told them when his movie's coming out.
Yeah,
like, push it back, and they're like, okay, we're pushing it back. Like Warner Brothers will bend backwards and do a flip for Christopher Nolan.
Yep.
Like that man has so much pull over there. I love that Robert Pattinson's scared of Christopher Nolan, because now me, regular person Chris, I'm terrified of Christopher Nolan. So please don't hurt me, Mr. Nolan. But y'all don't hear from me tomorrow. That's why. That's what happened.
All right. Well, moving on, we're gonna stay in the realm of DC. Something I know Chris and I are both hyped to talk about. DC Fandom, a global experience, a 24-hour experience, and they dropped this huge guest list the other day, and among those guests were Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Val Kilmer, Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson. It was just you have to pause that video and just scan through the guest list, and your jaw.
Christopher Nolan's gonna be there. No, but
I think he might be actually.
He's in charge of who's on that list.
Right, Kaylee Cuoco is going to be on there. So, but no, so. There's been rumors that we might get a little peek at the Batman full on. There have been rumblings via Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Twitter that we're going to get our first look at Black Adam.
The Man in Black.
And there are rumblings because of Val Kilmer and the untimely death of the late, great Joel Schumacher that this call for the 4-hour Joel Schumacher cut of Forever, we may be getting it. Oh, yes, and let's not forget that Zack Snyder is supposed to drop his first Justice League Snyder Cut trailer there. So, yeah, pretty packed day for 24 hours of DC news. Chris, what do you got?
Okay. The things I'm most excited about, DC fandom, of course, we're going to get a butt ton of announcements. Literally, anyone who's done anything DC in the last 10 years is going to be at this thing. Every single person, including Christopher Nolan, whether you want him there or not. But the Schumacher cut, because why else would Val Kilmer be there unless he's just going to talk about the Batman films that he was a part of, or the Batman film he was a part of? I want, maybe we'll get a Schumacher cut announcement of some kind, especially if not everyone's getting their own cut of their movie. I would love to see a trailer for the Zack Snyder's Justice League. That'd be cool. But the thing that gets me excited the most, honestly, is a first look at the Batman so far of what they've shot. Just give me a little something. And the Man in Black, freaking Black Adam. So The Rock already got me excited for Black Adam. I don't think we're going to see much. I don't even think they shot anything.
I wouldn't be surprised. We might get a look at him in the trailer.
I think we're going to get a look at him in his whatever his guard's going to be.
And he kind of teased that in what he dropped for DC fandom.
Yeah, we'll see that. I think we will see what he looks like, and fanboys across the world will just cry in unison, myself included. But the Batman stuff, I'm looking forward to seeing as well. Are we going to see Zoe Kravitz in her Catwoman gimmick?
Are we going to see Colin Farrell's Penguin? Are we going to see Paul Dano's Riddler?
I want to see something. Give me, because this movie got pushed back, right? Because
so October of next year, yeah, because of the.
So you don't have to show me a whole produced trailer. Just give me some. Because after the Batman reveal, that Toby, I think you were the one that showed me this, whenever it happened, and you watched me cry. Like it was a vigorous weeping, but I just want to see something. Give me something to work with. I know they will show us something. They're not going to be. Matt Reeves won't take time out of his day just to be like, "Yeah, I'm doing the Batman. Peace." No, they're going to show us something.
I want character. Like it doesn't even have to be a trailer. Just give me pictures of full-on body pictures.
Give me concept art. Damn it! I don't even need to see a picture.
I'm dying to see what Riddler looks like. I am dying to see what Riddler looks like because he is actually, although he's probably like a B-rank character, he's probably one of my favorite villains. Not even gonna lie, I've loved him since the animated series.
It's really good.
I'm really excited. When I saw Kaylee Cuoco on that list, I'm like, oh my god, they're about to announce Harley Quinn season 3 for HBO Max.
Yeah, they are.
Especially since that show just got put on HBO Max, Chris. Another reason for you to get HBO Max.
I have to get this thing. Toby, with the exception, I know how excited you are about the Schumacher cut. But
I don't know how excited Toby is about the Snyder cut.
That too. Well, what do you think? What are you excited for at DC fandom, and/or what do you think we're going to get, if anything?
To be completely honest with you, and I've talked about this at length on this show. I'm not a huge DC fan. Like it's Batman and Superman for me personally. Like that's what I care about the most. And so Robert Pattinson's Batman. I'm very excited to see a trailer or some images or something, really get an idea what the aesthetic is and what they're going for in this movie. And then the Snyder Cut, honestly, I know I'm not its biggest fan, mostly because of the fans. I love Zack Snyder as a filmmaker and a person, and I'm excited to see what he does with the movie. It's just everything else surrounding it. It's just really hard to get excited for because of all the nonsense that went on the last few months, or really longer than that since the first Justice League came out. So it's really just between those two. I'm really excited to get a trailer, and I'm really excited for Robert Pattinson's Batman to get more of that. And are we also getting Suicide Squad stuff? Is that true?
Yeah.
That
James
as well.
Going to be at the Suicide, or he's going to be representing.
Suicide, and the Rocksteady game.
Oh no! Oh yeah, that too. I want that. All of it. Give me the game. I want it now.
But Toby, considering you are a Batman fan, I'm surprised you don't want the Schumacher cut.
I'm a Batman fan because of Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. That's what made me fall in love with Batman, as well as the video games, the Arkham trilogy. I'm excited for the Suicide Squad game because Rocksteady's doing it, and it does look cool.
It's going to be so cool.
My question to you two is I still don't quite understand the obsession and the crave for Suicide Squad content. Because the first movie didn't do very well, it wasn't well made, and now we're getting another movie and we're getting a video game. So I'm really curious, like, how did we get here? You know what I mean?
Pause.
I'm sorry.
The movie made $800 million on an $150 million budget. That movie made bank.
Okay, I'm sorry. I meant that it wasn't well received. It wasn't fans and critics alike. Is what I meant. It wasn't successful.
A lot of people have warmed up to it as a guilty pleasure film, a film that's just fun to watch. That's how I treat it. That's how my dad even treats it.
Like him. Like he's the reason why we're getting the Suicide Squad. People like Matt. Like I'm not even lying.
No. I'm not. The reason we're getting it is because they're like, "Hey, James Gunn, what do you want to make?" And he's like, "Give me those obscure fuckers right there because that's what I rock with."
Let me make a Guardians, but with Warner Brothers characters.
Okay, but why the video game? Like, what is the crave for
actually because Suicide Squad content in general is actually some of the most sought after content in the DC library. They have 2 animated Suicide Squad movies that are considered some of their highest straight to DVD animated movie grossing films. Like Suicide Squad is a huge part of the DC last decade. So that's why
I put a lot of the love for Suicide Squad because of the success and love for Deadpool and I don't want to say obscure, but different comic book media. That's what it is. It's different and it fits. It's towards a different demographic. When Deadpool came out, it was self-aware. The people loved the character because it was a superhero movie, but it was funny and it was quirky and it was all these different things. Suicide Squad was the same thing. Came out the same year too. So it was piggybacking off of the hype of Deadpool, even though 2 completely different studios, 2 completely different companies.
And that's why Ayer's been fighting for his cut because apparently his version got completely torn apart because of how well Deadpool was received. And they did reshoot.
So I firmly think it's because of the aesthetic of the movie and how like the characters were easy to fall in love with too. They were the best part of the movie. And Margot Robbie really brought something to Harley Quinn that we hadn't seen prior. Like, of course, us being fans of the Arkham games and Batman the Animated Series, we were already familiar with Harley Quinn. But to the general public, they may not have known who she was. And Harley Quinn or Margot Robbie did a great job with that character. And same thing with Will Smith's Deadshot and really the other members of the Suicide Squad. So it's the aesthetic, it's how different it was compared to everything else we got in regards to superhero media. This came out the same year as Civil War, and I bet more people talk about Suicide Squad than Civil War now. Regardless of what you think of the movies, Suicide Squad was more popular, 100%.
Suicide Squad's an Oscar winner.
Suicide Squad's an Oscar-winning film, so I think that's what it is. And with Rocksteady making this game, it's been rumored for years, for at least a year, that we're going to get a Suicide Squad movie game out of Rocksteady. So when it was what's going to be the future of the Batman in regards to games, the rumors were, we're going to get Suicide Squad instead. And then we got the announcement a couple of days ago. Yeah, we'll hear more at DC Fandom. So I think it was just piggybacking off the success. It's different than everything else that we've gotten so far. To this day, regardless of what you think of the movie's quality, it's different than everything else that we've gotten. That's why people love it so much. I'm not too high on it, but I get it and I understand.
The Suicide Squad film, the first animated one, the success of that is actually part of the reason we got that first Suicide Squad film.
And we're no stranger to Suicide Squad. Whether you're a fan of the comics, they were on Arrow for a bit.
Yep.
So the Suicide Squad, it's a fun concept. It's a bunch of villains doing heroic deeds because they want to shorten their sentence. And when they go rogue, their heads explode. It's a fun visual.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just straight. It's different comic book media, and piggybacking off of Deadpool because they set the standard. Deadpool set the standard for this. Getting Suicide Squad 6 months later definitely helped that out, 100%. And it's still popular. You're still gonna go buy the merch at like Hot Topic and everything. Yeah, it's still popular. But yes, Rocksteady game's gonna rule too. It's going to rule.
I personally want that 4-hour Schumacher cut because a lot of people don't realize that Michael Keaton was supposed to still play Batman in Batman Forever. He dropped out a month before they were going to start shooting. A month before they were supposed to start shooting. So they scrambled and they ended up with Kilmer. And
I love Batman Forever. Oh my god.
It's a guilty pleasure for me. I'm not gonna lie. Jenny and I just bought that. We bought the 4K copy. But
as you should.
It's a visually stunning film. I'm not gonna take that away from it. But part of Keaton's issue with the Batman franchise is, okay, both of my Batman films have focused on the villain. When are we going to focus on Batman? And he fought for that. And apparently that's what the Schumacher cut is. But Keaton saw the writing on the wall with how the studio wanted to treat the film, so he dipped out before he had to waste his time.
And I would have loved to see the version of Batman Forever with Michael Keaton in it. I think not to diss Val Kilmer. I love Val Kilmer's Batman. I really do. Regardless of what...
I feel like he got the short end of the stick. So
he did, because he wasn't Keaton. Because Keaton was the bomb. Like, whether it's 89 Batman or Batman Returns. Like, I love both of those movies. When I saw Kilmer's the first time, I'm like, oh, it's not the same guy. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, yo, Val Kilmer actually does a decent job at this. Especially if what you said is accurate. Like, yo, they got him a month before shooting, so he didn't have too much time to prepare for the role, and he did a great job, in my opinion.
Right.
But I would love to see more of Enigma and of Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face, especially as they hated each other as much as they did on set. I want to see more of their interactions with each other, or more building between those two villains.
But apparently we got most of their stuff. It's the Bruce Wayne stuff and the Batman stuff we're getting more.
Please, okay, then give me more Val Kilmer. Yeah. That's fine too. I'll happily take it.
Now, fun fact:
you said 4 hours.
4-hour cut.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's too damn long. That's too damn long.
Justice League should be. It's probably like 3.5 hours.
Yeah. But Chris, fun fact for you: do you know what actor who doesn't appear in the movie still makes residuals off of Batman Returns?
Oh God. Who?
Marlon Wayans.
Oh, really?
Because they filmed his Dick Grayson's. Originally, he had signed on. We were supposed to get an introduction to Dick Grayson in Returns, and originally the Max Schreck character was supposed to be Harvey Dent, and they couldn't get Billy D. Williams back, so they changed up. And Catwoman was supposed to create Two-Face, which is going to lead into Forever and Tim Burton's vision of Forever. But Marlon Williams still filmed stuff for Batman Returns, and his contract had a pay whether he's in the film or not. So he still makes residuals off of that film.
Getting his couple dollars in the mail every month from Warner Brothers for Batman Returns. I love that. Good for Marlon Wayans. That's awesome. That is freaking awesome.
Yeah. That's it for movie news. We do have a mini review roundup as two shows that are very similar. One just ended this Thursday. One all dropped last weekend. The Umbrella Academy Season 2, Patrol Season 2. I don't know if either of you watched Doom Patrol, because I know, Toby, it sounds like you have HBO Max. I'm not sure if you've gotten hip to Doom Patrol or not. And
nope, not yet.
And I know Chris didn't get a chance to watch Umbrella Academy Season 2 because of his move.
Yeah, people have been like telling me, like, Chris, you gotta watch Umbrella Academy, and I have no idea what it is.
You've never seen any of them.
I know nothing. I know nothing about Umbrella Academy.
So I saw a video the other day of like a bunch of umbrellas caught in the wind, and it said the umbrella is on the way to the academy or something like that. I have no idea what the show's about, but that made me laugh. I thought that was fun.
Imagine what the Umbrella Academy is, and I'm not spoiling anything because this is all like the first 5 minutes of the first episode. It's about an eccentric billionaire who there are like 42 kids who were all born on the same day, but the interesting thing about that were not pregnant on the day that they were born. They got 9 months pregnant within like 10 minutes and then popped out a baby.
Oh my God, it sounds awful.
Yeah. So there's this eccentric billionaire who went around trying to get as many of these kids as possible.
Is X-Men?
A little bit. It's like very dark comedy, X-Men inspired. So he ends up only getting 7 of them. 7 of the 42. So there's still 35 others floating out there
catch
somewhere.
But Umbrella Academy?
No, it's nothing like that. But we now
sounds like.
No. But he ends up training these kids, and they all have supernatural abilities. There's Luther, who's got super strength and all this. There's Klaus, who has the ability to bring back the dead and talk to them and command the dead.
He dead man? Oh my god, it's awesome.
There's Allison, who has the ability to rumor people to do whatever she wants. So like all she has to say is, I heard a rumor that you do this, and then you end up doing that thing.
Yo, that's cool. It's like the Purple Man from Jessica Jones.
Kinda. Then there's Vanya, who I can't. I'm not gonna give you her story because it spoils stuff for season 1. Klaus, Vanya, Allison, Luther. Then there's Ben Diego. Maybe it was only 6 of them. And then there's number 5. Ben Diego and number 5. Because the guy didn't
number 5?
He didn't even name the kids. They gave themselves their own names as they got older. He referred to them as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay. Before you continue, because I want you to review the second season, but with no spoilers, preferably. But so this sounds like a lot like X-Men.
It is very X-Men-esque. It's a dark parody of X-Men kind of.
And so with Umbrella Academy, is there like a school with? Is it like Charles Xavier School?
No. So he ended up training them himself because he's a billionaire. He ended up training them to hone their powers and use them. And as kids, they went around doing missions. The show we get is them as adults, and then we get flashbacks of what it was like for them as kids growing up.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
All right. What did you think of season 2?
I love season 2. It took some wild turns. It set up a lot of cool and different possibilities while finishing up some loose ends that we didn't at the end of the first season. I loved it. I'm not gonna go too deep into it because you haven't seen it, and now it seems like you're very interested in checking this show out. Which means
curious. It's one of Netflix's most popular shows.
Yeah, which means you have 20 hours of content to watch right now.
Yeah, on top of everything else I already watched. Maybe we'll see.
Seriously, it's a weekend binge. Do it. You won't regret it. I know you. I know your affinity for superheroes. You won't regret it. Check it out.
I do Jones for some superheroes. But was it better than the first season?
Oh, without a doubt. By far. Without a doubt, it was better than the first season. I love the first season. I know some people felt like this one was a little too out there and weird compared to the first season. But that's what attracts people to this show. And that's what also attracts people to a show like Doom Patrol. It's out there and weird. With Doom Patrol, you have the Robot Man, Mr. Negative, Elasti-Woman, Crazy Jane, Cyborg. And all of them have these weird, fucked up backstories. And that are all tied to the man who helps take care of them. So, hey, like, Doom Patrol Season 2... we meet this man's daughter. Her name is Dorothy, and she is arguably the most powerful being on Earth. And granted, Episode 9 was not supposed to be the finale of Doom Patrol Season 2. It's a pseudo-finale because the show had to shut down due to coronavirus, and the episode ended at a point where it's like, you know what? This is a good cliffhanger. We're just going to use this as the finale and hope that we get a Season 3.
So, do you have a preference between the two? Because these are both second seasons of two relatively popular shows. I know Doom Patrol doesn't get that much publicity, but it's at least amongst us in like that we're knees deep in all this comic book media. It's still pretty popular. People love this show, especially after Titans came out. People gravitated more towards Doom Patrol.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I prefer Doom Patrol, but it's also because it's a more adult show. There's cursing. There's sex, there's like both of them have the violence. I'm not going to take that away from them, but like the cursing and sex and all that do add a little bit more comedy in the show Doom Patrol. Because like this season there was an episode called Sex Patrol. Background is, and I'll spoil
I'm on board now. I'm on board.
You got me. Don't even tell me. I'm buying HBO Max as we speak.
So there's an episode this season called Sex Patrol. So a little background. Last season there's this character who's a street named Danny, It's called named Danny the Street. It's a living street. Like the street pops up signs and talks to you. All this like I'll show you a little bit after the show.
Okay.
But it's a living being. And at the end of the first season, Danny kind of had to sacrifice himself, and now
The
it's
street.
yeah. And now instead of a street,
Sacrifice itself?
hold up. And now instead of a street, it's a single brick. So this entire episode, they're like throwing this huge party, and there's a character who is a DC character named Flex Mentallo, who he flexes his muscles different ways, and it can do a different thing. If he flexes his muscle a certain way, he can give you an orgasm. There's a whole comedy bit with it in the first season.
I love all this with no context. Oh my god, this is great.
So there's Elasta woman. She asked if he could flex his muscle and make her have an orgasm.
Yeah.
And like during this time, they're accidentally opening a portal to a different dimension that is going.
Way to spoil the fun.
This is a great episode. That is going to bring forth this demon who's about to give birth to a child that will end the world. So, like at some point in this episode, you're seeing spirits, like blue ghosts, around the house fucking.
Oh my Lord Savior.
It's crazy.
So you know how when you're a kid, or even as an adult, people always ask, like, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? People are like, I would like to fly. I would teleport. I know what my superpower is now. No question.
What is your superpower?
I mean, to be able to just flex a muscle and make a girl have an orgasm, dude, that's what a superpower, man.
It's more than just
wow.
Like,
What a skill. What a skill.
Flexes all these different muscles, and each flex does a
You
different
walking down the
thing.
street like bam, 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 bam. And girls are just like, what the fuck?
Is that assault? You can't just do that. It's not cool.
I mean, all you're
That's how
doing
you
is
get in trouble.
all you're doing is making them do it. It is their body doing it. Just
Oh my god.
But anyway, like Doom
That's
Patrol.
awful.
Doom Patrol is a little more out there and crazy, and that's why I enjoyed it a little bit more. It's like it's only by a slim margin. It's like here's Doom Patrol, here's Umbrella Academy, but I love them both. But
So,
I suggest watching both of them because they're both ridiculous and out there.
in conclusion, give me a score for both Umbrella Academy Season 2 and Doom Patrol Season 2 out of 5 flexes. How many flexes would you give both seasons?
All right, here for Umbrella Academy, I'm going to give it out of briefcases. I'm gonna go 4.5 briefcases, and when you watch the show, you'll understand why I chose
Briefcases. 4.5 briefcases.
briefcases
Okay.
out of 5 for Umbrella Academy, and 4.75 flexes for
flexes, yeah.
sorry, 4.75 flexes for Doom Patrol because of how well it just continued for after this for as a continuation to the second season or first
That's
season.
awesome.
It also the first season had 15 episodes, and the second season had 9 episodes because it switched to an HBO show. So,
Word.
but yeah,
I'm definitely going to catch Doom Patrol, not because of what you just said. I actually wanted to watch it before.
Sure.
Now I just have extra incentive to watch it. But same thing for Umbrella Academy. Like I've seen this show all over the place. It's not as popular as a show like Stranger Things, but it's super niche and people love it.
It's more popular than Stranger Things.
So you're telling me that Umbrella Academy, because when Stranger Things was it season 3? Is that the newest one?
Yeah, Stranger Things season 3.
So it garnered more viewers than Stranger Things.
Yes.
Well, probably because we're bored in the house, bored in the house, bored.
No. Season 1 garnered more viewers than Stranger Things.
Where the hell did this come from? What the hell? Is it a graphic novel?
Yes, it's a graphic novel by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance. So
what the hell?
Yeah, it's a really interesting graphic novel too. Like, just check out the stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, watch Doom Patrol and Umbrella Academy. Apparently, yeah, you too, Toby. I know.
Yeah,
I know you're gonna watch Doom Patrol now, but
I will check one of them out. I think probably Umbrella Academy will be first
likewise
on the docket.
Well, because it's easier for you to check out Umbrella Academy with it being on a Netflix.
Yeah, and the fact that both these shows are streaming, like, so I mean, if Matt's recommendation's enough, like, go watch both of these shows if you haven't seen them, because my God, apparently there's a bunch of crazy stuff. So, I'll check them out eventually.
Just fucking insane. I love them. But no, we got one more thing to talk about tonight, and it's something that actually is near and dear and important in the film world, and that is the Paramount consent decrees have officially been removed, and that is, depending on who you ask, a good thing or a bad thing, because what that means is studios can now straight up buy theater chains. They can own theaters.
Yeah, so for the longest time, it was already, obviously we had these decrees and set, but it was almost frowned upon to even have that thought in your brain. Like, oh, the fact that Warner Brothers can buy a theater chain, like, because they're obviously going to prioritize their films, whatever. It's terrifying. And I love that how you phrased it, Matt. Like, it depends on who you ask. It's really the consumer and the studio behind. Those are the only two POVs that you have. Because for me, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Netflix bought, I'm blanking on the name of the theater, but Netflix owns a theater.
Yeah, you can own single theaters. Yeah, you can own single theaters, but you couldn't own big chains, which now you can own these giant chains.
Because I remember when AMC was the thoughts of them going under, or AMC theaters, the thoughts of them going under, and people are like, who can buy AMC? And everyone pointed towards Amazon. Amazon. And I guess at the time you couldn't do that because of Amazon Studios. They have their own film and TV division. But now they can totally buy AMC theaters. Same thing now that we have the Universal thing in place with AMC. Universal can just be like, hey, AMC might as well just give our theaters to us.
Yeah, especially with a company like AMC, which is in so much trouble financially.
It's a toughie because of course, if AMC, I'm gonna use AMC as an example because they're the one that's struggling the most. If AMC is struggling so much and Comcast is like, hey, bro, come in, like, let us buy you, and AMC's like, you know what, sure. And then we're finally gonna get all our Bonds and our Fast and Furiouses and all of our Jurassic Worlds.
But
it's gonna be tricky, especially for the other movies playing at these theaters.
Well, and that's what exactly I want to do. Here's the downside of it all. If studios can buy the theaters, they get to control what movies are being shown. So they can, they might still show every movie, but they might show those other movies you want to see at the most inconvenient times or do less shows of it compared to like. So let's use Disney as an example because they're the biggest they're the biggest worry here. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Let's say they buy all of Regal theaters. Okay. Well, now, every Regal theater you go to, you have all these options, but they'll be playing Black Widow like 7 times around the same time compared to, say, something like Bond, which their show times are already done and it's only like 7 o'clock at night. They'll be able to control how much of what's being shown, and that's the scary thing.
Especially, like, if we're using Disney as our example right now, they can re-release their movies.
Yeah.
What's stopping them from re-releasing movies?
And they can make those places the exclusive re-release place.
Exactly. Like when Disney was running those, they were re-releasing their animated films for the last decade, the last 2 years. At AMC's, they could just do that exclusive. If you were to tell me I could watch The Little Mermaid, the 89 Little Mermaid, at a Regal theater, if we're using your example, then, oh my God. Like, you might see The Little Mermaid from 1989 at your top 10 box office list at the end of the week.
That's what they're showing instead of showing something like a Paramount film or a Universal film. They could be doing something like that. So it's playing with fire. It's pretty dangerous, honestly. Toby, how you feeling about it?
To be honest with you, I don't know a lot about this whole story, but what I will say is it's kind of a slippery slope in what's going on in this climate that we're in now. And I worry about smaller independent theaters just going away completely. I mean, they're already, slowly going away because of COVID-19. But if, like you said, if Disney buys Regal, then, a lot of people are going to just be running to that Regal cinema to see, Disney films or I guess I don't know a lot about the story, but I wonder, how ticket prices will change. I wonder how concession prices will change.
I didn't even stop to think about that.
I mean, just stuff like that. I'm curious to see how that goes because this is a big deal, and I imagine we'll be seeing deals and things being bought, probably soon next year, right when theaters start to open back up. So it's going to be an interesting experiment for sure.
And granted, these are called the Paramount consent decrees because back in the day, Paramount was what Disney is now. So,
oh God, it's there's so many pros and cons to this because this could save movie theaters.
This could save movie theaters. It really could arguably save independent film because let's say because Disney owns Fox Searchlight now, let's say, oh, you know what? We're going to show these Fox Searchlight films exclusively at our theaters that we own now. And we'll be able to show them, and people who actually want to see them, it's going to be easier for them to make money now since they're going to be readily available. And that goes back to the independent theaters. That scares me because that's where the independent theaters make a lot of their money. So
yes, they'll make like those Oscar movies that we see pop up at the end of the year, or that we see once the Oscar noms get announced, that everyone's like, "Yo, I never heard of this thing." It'll be more accessible depending on the studio that buys the theater chain, whatever. But yeah, like that's great, but it could sink those independently owned theaters, like we've already said. But at the same time, like we might see theater chains like kill other theater chains. Yeah. There could be a monopoly over theater chains, and that's crazy as well.
Like,
if
imagine
Disney were to do go ahead.
I was about to say, imagine Regal only showing Disney. Imagine AMC only showing Universal. What's the next big Cinemark? Imagine Paramount having all Cinemark.
And I know if you're buying a movie like a theater chain, it's not smart to do that. Like the diversity of films at a movie theater, like it's at least for me, I like the idea of having my options and doing stuff like that, and having these different studios all together. And I think business wise, it would make a ton of sense to keep it the way it is, at least as much as you can. Of course, Disney, they're going to prioritize their films. They're be showing more of their movies. It would be dumb to exclude the bigger blockbusters. It would be dumb,
especially since you're running a business. And these theaters still have to make money all around.
And that's where I like the idea of maybe like an Amazon coming in, because Amazon's not putting out these big blockbusters yet. And for now, they can, if they were to buy AMC, which, like I said, was the big rumor in early June, I want to say it was, or late May, early June. Like they could prioritize their movies. They could show movies that they own. I think, for example, Late Night was one of theirs. Beautiful Boy was one of theirs. So they could, show and give a spotlight to those movies. But at the same time, you could still keep your blockbusters and all those other little films that come out through Universal, Warner, Disney, whatever the hell. Like, it just makes more sense.
Now, would a studio theater have exclusive rights to its own movies? Like,
they could do that if they wanted to. That
would definitely sink independent theaters because they wouldn't be able to show the big blockbusters because the Regal next door would have exclusive rights to it. And so that's scary as well because you're gonna have these little tiny theaters that are already struggling being out of business like right away.
And we were talking about drive-ins earlier. This is gonna kill
drive-ins. Kill the drive-in.
Because studios won't give the permission to show these movies because they're like, yo, why go to that independently owned joint where you can watch it on a big screen at ours? So it makes sense business wise to keep playing other movies from different studios, but like what Matt was talking about earlier, show times may be different. Like when you're able to see it may be different, and how you're able to see it, because you're not gonna be able to go to the drive-in anymore. If Disney's owning AMC and it's like, yo, you want to go see, what's the next big? Oh, you want to go see Mulan at the drive-in? Nope, you gotta come to our theater to go watch it.
Can you imagine being a drive-in theater owner and just being like, "We're back, guys! Like everyone's back to the drive-in, yay!" And then like a few months later, it's like no business.
Amazon buys Disney, or Disney buys AMC, and it's all gonna go to hell. So there are so many pros and cons to this. And we'll see the second a conversation like that is had. I guarantee you Warner Brothers, Comcast, that owns Universal, and Disney have already had conversations like this since the decrees are. Now that the decrees are gone.
The possibility of the decrees being gone opened up like last November, so they've probably started having these conversations since then and just been waiting to see what happens.
And they couldn't legally do it, but now I would not be surprised, like what Toby said, if we hear some action by not even early next year, but late this year, of a studio coming in, especially with AMC struggling. Warner could step in, Disney could step in, Comcast could step in. I want Amazon. Amazon to me makes the most sense, but of course,
I could see Amazon buying the independent theater because they primarily make indie film. Their stuff is the independent stuff.
But Amazon definitely has enough money to throw around to buy a theater chain.
Oh yeah,
and they'll profit. It'll make sense once coronavirus isn't a thing, and maybe that's what they're waiting for. Mm-hmm. Once COVID isn't as much of a problem as it is now, that's when we'll hear more traction about this. But I will not be surprised if AMC gets bought by next summer.
But here's what I'm curious about. There's realistically only 3 major chains throughout the entire country. That's Regal, that is Cinemark, and that is AMC.
Yeah.
There's Comcast Universal. Mm-hmm. There is Viacom Paramount. There's Disney. There's Warner Brothers, and there's Sony. So that's 5 big dogs for 3 big dogs.
The second one gets bought, that's when it's going to get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a little bit because, like we've said, all this entire hour and plus we've been doing this. Theaters are struggling right now, so it'd be dumb to buy a theater right now, especially if you can't let people in. So once we get a handle on it, and numbers start going down, hopefully sooner rather than later, maybe these conversations are really starting to get had instead of just thoughts or ideas brought up in meetings.
See, I disagree. I think if they would be smart to buy it now, that way that gives them a longer period of time to plan out what they're going to do with their theater.
Yeah.
Because if they were to buy it right, go ahead.
I'm gonna say yes and no to that because sure, you're buying the rights to the theater now, but at the same time, what's gonna make that theater money is the diversity you get in showing all these different films that they're bringing in back, like The Dark Knights, like The Goonies, and so on and so forth. So that would be the danger in buying it now. You know what I mean? Because let's say you're the first big studio to buy it. Oh, we don't want you to have access to our films now because why would we want to give you money? Why would we want you to have the chance? It would start the domino effect immediately, and that I think it's better for them to wait until after this to see if the theaters can even survive all of this.
These AMC might die by the end of the year. We just have no idea.
And we've only talked about negatives for the most part on this story, but one positive I think is if you put money into anything, the quality of the product is going to go up. And a lot of people complain. A lot of people complain about the movie theater experience because of noisy kids and people on their phone and uncomfortable seating. Because there are still theaters like my theater here where the chairs are like sitting like in a freaking computer chair. Like it's the worst.
I feel bad for you because the 4 closest theaters to me all have recliners, power recliner seats. One of the theaters has a power recliner seat with a USB port for you to charge your phone while you're watching the movie.
See, I feel like that entices people to be on their phone. So I do too. I don't love that idea. But
we have another thing. We have another theater here that whenever you guys get the chance to come, it's right by one of the taco places that I've told you about. It is a dine-in theater where you order your food. You get there 30 minutes before the movie. You can order your food, and they bring. Well, no, this one is a little bit different because you have to order it at least 30 minutes before the show. Don't come in the middle of the movie.
I don't want to throw any hate, but there's a theater in I think it's Woodridge, Illinois. I went once. I went to go see Rocky Horror Picture Show there. And when the movie started,
Studio Movie Grill.
What?
Was it Studio Movie Grill?
No.
Oh, that's another brand that does the dine-in theater stuff.
Well, no, like it's just the one, I think. The guy came to me, the movie was playing. I'm like, yo, I've never seen this movie before. I'm so excited. And he's like, what do you want to drink, sir? I'm like, leave me alone. The movie just started.
I've done the dine-in theater once. I haven't even.
They make you order food. You have to buy something.
Oh, see, they didn't. The one I went to, they didn't make you do that.
So mad.
I've been to the theater by my house one time, and I didn't even order food. It was a preview screening of Black Klansman. That is the only movie I've ever seen there because the prices are outrageous. Even a matinee is like $13.
Stupid.
Right.
Stupid.
When I was in Columbus for a convention a few years back, there was a dine-in theater there called Studio Movie Grill. And literally, it was just a button. You press the button if you needed a server, and they'd come to you.
That's so okay. I understand that, but Toby, you mentioned earlier, I think when we first started talking about this, about concessions and ticket prices going down. That will 1,000% happen if a studio does buy a theater because that draws more people.
Up.
And they also, because ticket prices or concession prices are expensive enough, because that's what turns the lights on at these smaller theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're not really going to have to worry about that. So they can charge whatever they want. And, you drop those prices down, people are more enticed to go, not sneak in snacks and all that other nasty stuff.
I mean, if the mouse bankrolls AMC
or Regal or Cinemark,
or any of these, imagine paying for popcorn, like a large tub of popcorn, for like $3. Imagine that.
Yeah,
like the day I would die to see that. But I think it will 100% happen. And again, it'll kill other chains because it'll bring more people into whatever the big studio chain is. It can still be called AMC, but have like
AMC presented by Amazon. AMC, I mean Regal presented by Disney.
Something like that. Yeah. And it will draw more people, draw more eyes. It's like, hey, you want to go see Black Widow at 7:00 on a Friday? Oh, okay, the ticket is $8. It's like, yo, that's nuts.
That I will say, that is, you guys are right. Everything dropping price wise because now they don't have to cut the cinemas into their pocket.
Exactly.
And what about A-List? Would A-List still exist at all?
That's another great question.
Or would they drop the price of A-List from $19.99 to $15.99?
Would they limit it to Disney films? Or whoever buys the studio? There's so many questions that we will not get answers to until something like this happens. Because it will happen at some point now. But I love I love and hate the ambiguousness of all this. Like we have no answers. We have to see it. And I think we will see it by the end of next year at some point.
Yes. Well, guys, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody who tuned in and watched us at some point. Great show, honestly, especially for how last minute thrown together things were.
Yeah, sorry for being late, everybody. We started the stream like 40 minutes later than we normally do but it's okay. We're here. Like we had it. We
still did it. Had a good time. And yeah. So Toby, where can people find you?
Well, you can follow me on all the social medias at Toby Barkwell. And that's about it. I talk about a bunch of nonsense. So
hopefully,
I had fun, though.
If we do get to do Final Buzzer this week, I hope we can have you on to talk about the emergence of TJ Warren.
Right? Yeah, for real. Like, what? Where did that come from? That's crazy.
And Chris, where can everybody find you?
Oh, you can follow me on Twitter at @CAnthonyLopez. You can follow me on Instagram at @C_Anthony Lopez. And you can check out my podcast, For Chris's Sake. Chris is with just an apostrophe, no apostrophe S, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast, I'm on there. I already had episode 1 go up last Monday. Shout out to my friend Leah. We talked about first generation students and graduates. That was a really great discussion I had with her. And tomorrow, actually, my episode with this guy, Toby Barkwell, goes up. We're talking about his favorite movie, the first episode of my favorite movie series. We're talking about his favorite movie, Jurassic Park. So check us out. Episode drops in the morning. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, go ahead, follow, subscribe. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating for me, please.
Yes.
Leave a rating. And so I want to make the show better. That's the only way I can figure it out.
Yeah. And also remember, Friday, we have the season premiere of the Really Trivia Showdown. We got Tommy Bling himself going up against Lou the Artist Donardo. So yeah, be sure to check that out. And signing off, I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
I'm Toby. Peace.
And this was another Who Are They? Real